Hey everyone, as you can see, I'm currently in the car, and that means we are on the road again. If you follow this channel, you know that we just had a baby, and that had also the result that we were basically stuck at home for a couple of months. But now we are back on the road traveling, and that's a first. It's pretty exciting, and this video will be partly about this, the car that I'm currently sitting in, but also, as you know, always more about the stock and the company in general. So stay tuned and watch it till the very end. First of all, I'd like to thank NIO at this point, because the car that I'm currently in is actually a press car which they gave us in order to test it out. As you may know, in the past we have covered on this channel our experience with the ET7 as well as the ET5, and sometimes I'm getting accused that I'm being paid by NIO in order to publish content and, you know, possibly a positive narrative around NIO stock. As I said countless times, that's not the case. I'm just simply interested in the company. I do think it's a very, very interesting business case, and also I'm a fan of the product, and that's why I'm testing it out. And let me just say so much. Our previous videos about the ET5 and ET7 have all been because we subscribe to the cars. That's a model that NIO is offering in Europe, and you heard me saying on the channel before that I really like the subscription model, because that was their slogan, flexible is the new premium. I totally agree with that. For our lives personally, flexibility is very, very important and great, as we are usually traveling a lot, and between the countries, China, Europe, Italy, Germany, and so on. It's great to have the flexibility also in the case of NIO to switch between the different car models, and that's what we're doing as well. And this time it's actually an ES6 or EL6 in Europe, I should say, because of the pending problem with the Audi trademark issue. So this is not a subscription car this time. Actually, NIO was so kind to give it to us as a press car. It was shortly available upon my request. I used the NIO app this time in order to reach out to NIO, because I didn't have any contacts in order to get this car from NIO directly. So I just want to be fully transparent here why I'm doing this content and how I'm doing it. Usually I'm just a NIO customer, and this time NIO responded really proactively in the NIO app when I made a post around is there any short-term subscription rental of a NIO car that I can get in southern Germany, and they quickly replied, we have one, and you can go and check it out. And that's great, because now, as you can see, maybe also in the background, we have the baby with us. Here's more space in this car, the ES6, and I will give you maybe a longer review of this car in the future videos. One aspect that I would highlight for this current video, and that has also to do with the broader macro issue here, is of course these are premium to luxury cars, right? And as always, this NIO car comes with a Lidar system. And I have to say, I came back after we returned our ET5 when our baby was due, and that was 4 months now. And now coming back to the ES6 and driving it again, it doesn't matter which NIO model you enter. It's basically you even have your app account and your settings, and you can switch between the models and you get the settings. It instantly feels familiar. And where I noticed, as soon as I got onto the German Autobahn with the Lidar system, it was really bad weather conditions. It felt extremely safe. And while that was possibly not an issue for me a couple of months ago, but now, to be honest, we had the option, going by car or any other way, and traveling a little bit. And I wanted it to be a safe car. And I think the ES6, one of the value propositions is that this is a large car. It's an SUV. You sit a little bit higher. You have more space. And with the Lidar system and all of this technology around it, about the self-driving abilities or autopilot abilities, it's really feeling a lot more safe and comfortable on longer distance trips than a normal car, I would say. At least that's my personal opinion. And I had the immediate experience again that when I was on the Autobahn, it was working great, even in bad weather. The pilot was working even though it was raining a lot, and it helped me to have less stress, less fatigue on the road. And most of the time this was working really well. And that's resonating with another experience or update that I can report about the car. I think the most thing that is currently happening here with NIO cars is on the software side in Europe. And I'm getting this type of a response also from other NIO groups that I'm in, which are partly NIO owners, and are saying this is actually one of the highlights of NIO, even compared to some of the legacy automakers and so on. That's good to hear, because in the past you heard me on this channel criticizing NIO for the software and how they were lagging behind. But over testing these the software now with these different models, the ET7, the ET5, and now the ES6, I can certainly say that there has a lot happened and the software has largely improved. Although we had also some couple of minor issues, and that is, due for another video to talk about. What I'm just pointing out here is with the Lidar system, I think this is an important premium to luxury feature to have. And some people are calling NIO to stop having it in order to reduce prices. And that's because of the macro situation, where we now had this big news during the week that JP Morgan has actually downgraded NIO stock because they said, well, there are not many new NIO models coming out, and there is maybe an issue in the Chinese car market currently in the segment where NIO is active, and NIO is not reducing prices and therefore not being part of the price war. And sometimes I have it here in the comments on Twitter, but also even on the Patreon community, that people say, well, if they would just ditch Lidar and maybe make a single motor and then offer the cars for cheaper, then they would find more buyers. And it's true, they might find more buyers this way. However, I'm not sure if this would still be a NIO like this offering that I'm currently enjoying here. It would be something different, and it's possibly something that's up for the sub-brands, and where we hopefully then will get this promised delivery of more deliveries, more sales. But owning the NIO, or kind of subscribing it, the NIO in the last couple of weeks and months during this year and last year really opened my eyes a little bit, also on my personal perception, that in the beginning I thought this car might be much closer than to some brands like lower positioned brands like even Audi or Tesla and so on. But in many ways I think this car is still quite special, and that's kind of reducing the serviceable market. It's true, it's an issue if you have the kind of the expectations that NIO can sell this car in the broader mass market. Unfortunately, that's not the case, I think, and possibly that's also why NIO was gearing towards the sub brands and started to work on them. So that's just from my personal experience of using the product, and how I think that there is no issue with having this Lidar also in terms of cost saving terms. I think NIO can really reduce the cost of a Lidar because they're actually sourcing it from their own invested company, and also innovating on it in terms of the technology being self-developed by them. And because they are buying them in bulk, I think they have ways of reducing the added cost, which of course they also can upsell in a way to those premium to luxury segment as well, where it makes sense. And in the end, this also has the the outcome that only NIO cars can do some stuff, as we see here in this German safety test and benchmark, that other cars simply can't do, namely stopping for an object that is not moving and that is being obstructed, that can't be seen in the very first place because there's another car in front of that. So this is kind of a special case that's not happening every day, of course, hopefully. However, you know, speaking in safety terms, it's extraordinary really that NIO with this Lidar equipment can actually do that, while others, even if they have very advanced technologies, cannot do it, and the car won't stop in time. And I think this is something which now, having a little family, I'm becoming rather to appreciate it, and which I think is a really important value delivery, and also some, you know, something that will, I think, take more time for people to kind of acknowledge and really appreciate as well. And that, I think, at some point will also manifest in brand, in resale value, and in, you know, just generally NIO being perceived as a safe brand and a safe car. And that's adding to the quality where I think NIO wants to be perceived. And again, this ultimately leads also to the price and positioning, which I agree currently at this point in time, it's a very tough market to be in. And it's facing the stock with all sorts of difficulties currently, given the fact that the analysts, like this JP Morgan analyst, which by the way doesn't have a great track record, but that doesn't mean anything, you know, he could be right with his call, but definitely those analysts are now turning very, very bearish on the company. I can just say from my personal observations, NIO on the strategic matters, on the product matters, is doing the right things, although there are difficult things to, you know, stay in focus and stay in the lane and keep on doing them, given the fact that the market is pressuring them. And I mean, in a sense, this channel is also sometimes giving negative feedback to NIO, also based on how the stock is performing. And of course, as I'm personally invested, I also want them to do well. And I think there are many issues that they are facing currently, and where they have made mistakes. But I think, you know, just what I just pointed out are not the mistakes that I have made, and where I think they are on the right track. That's just my personal opinion, though. Now, we've got some news that tomorrow there might be an announcement, and I've just seen it's you know, between the lines now and then, what Shen Fei, the VP Power of or the VP of NIO Power, has said. It seems around battery swapping and a deal that might be announced, not to do with a new battery swapping partner, but maybe something else. And you know, I haven't done much more digging yet. I might have to you know, correct myself about what I'm going to say right now, but it sounds to me very much like NIO will be announcing something that I basically said a couple of times on the channel before, that I think battery swap stations will become profitable. They will become a business case where possibly this year investors hopefully also see that it will actually be beneficial to build more battery swap stations, not less of them. And this might be because they will unlock new revenue streams in the area of grid balancing or grid fluctuation. So these type of initiatives are currently already being rolled out in Europe. And by the way, even NIO partnering here with some EU Horizon program that are official EU funds, and you know, that just goes to show that even the governmental side here in Europe, the authorities are willing to work with the Chinese company on these matters, which is great news in my opinion. But it makes just more sense for them to to make it in Europe currently, because there are much higher energy fluctuations given our energy mix and so on, and there's more money to be made. And that's why they're saying currently battery swap stations are, turning more profitable or quicker profitable in Europe already than in China. But I also pointed out, and especially also my Patreon community, how this same market is currently developing in China. And in China this market is less mature, but I do think NIO will have the better standing in China, definitely, given the whole infrastructure that I've built out, and how many cars there are on the road. They are a name already in China, right? And so possibly this announcement tomorrow, I'm just guessing here, could be around the state grid or something, like a major institution that is willing to partner with NIO here on the area of having a better partnership, cooperation, and actual operations of battery swap stations with the energy grid. And I think it will be around monetization. And this is just another puzzle piece, I think, in what I've mentioned before. Battery swap stations will become profit centers. Actually, I've started, as I mentioned before, modeling my business case update, and in that one I'm currently modeling around 20,000 battery swap stations for NIO by the year of 2030, and billions actually in annual revenue, and maybe even double-digit billions USD in annual revenues coming from that. Some say my personal perception was that I'm possibly a little bit too bullish and optimistic around that, but some people in my Patreon community are saying, well, I should calculate with higher numbers. But anyways, this is something that I don't see the analysts talk about, who are now turning bearish. They're just looking at the car sales and this current period, which I mentioned before, Q1, which will be not great. There's not much growth to be expected during this time, but I have to admit, like, it might be even just not a lot of year-over-year growth, comparing the Chinese New Year period with last year, and that's not good, that's not great. But I'm just saying that the analysts are now coming out and talking about this small period in time, totally neglecting or not mentioning at all what NIO is about for the long run. I think it's a bit short-sighted, but anyways, that's the market currently. It's a very unfortunate market. It's not great to see where NIO is currently, to be honest. Actually, in fact, it's not fun at all being invested in NIO currently, and it's hurting. But I just hope that it's gonna work out fine in the end, and that NIO will manage to operationally pull the right triggers, because I think the main things to work on for NIO currently are rather on the execution side, on the marketing and sales side, not so much on changing all of the features of the product or the strategy or the business model. As I'm currently pointing out always on the channel, I'm rather a fan of that. I'm a fan of the product, again, experiencing it here. I'm a fan of the business model, and I have a long-term business case which I think looks very, very good. But unfortunately, that's not what the market's seeing right now. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little monologue here. That was a bit more spontaneous this time, but I will be back with more videos this week about the ES6 and yeah, many more things to happen next week with NIO as a company. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.